We believe cities are about people. Mori Building.
Mitsui and Company.
Let's go look for Mitsubishi Electric around the world. Singapore. Found it. Jakarta. Yeah! Tokyo. Michigan. Kuala Lumpur. Italy. Mitsubishi Electric.
The sport truck. New Mitsubishi Triton.
Drive at Earth Mitsubishi Motors.
Welcome to Channel Japan. I'm Maki Arai.
And I'm Makiko Tsuda.
Every week we bring you the freshest information out of Japan from a studio here in Tokyo.
From the economy to culture and even foods, if you want to find out what's happening in Japan right now, this is where you'll find it.
These are our topics for today.
In Project Japan, a report on international cooperation in combating infectious diseases.
From World Business Satellite, businesses that allow you to borrow rather than buy.
Also from World Business Satellite, easy-to-use health management services powered by information technology.
And from Takumi, a company that makes the world's thinnest silk fabric. First up is Project Japan. So, Tsuda-san, what's the topic this time?
Yes, we'll be looking at infectious diseases affecting countries around the world.
Well, I know that the spread of the Ebola virus is a major issue, especially in West Africa now.
It is, and last year Ebola infected nearly 20,000 people with more than 7,000 deaths.
And in Japan last summer, cases of dengue fever were confirmed for the first time in about 70 years.
That's right, and we have a chart over here. These are what are considered the three major infectious diseases in the world. HIV/AIDS, which you could say is relatively new, and TB, which experts had believed would be eradicated in the near future, seems to be spreading again. And finally, malaria, because infectious diseases are widespread and require significant financial resources to combat. They're not a problem that can be dealt by one country alone.
So international cooperation is crucial.
That's right. And this January, the second Nikkei Asian Conference on Communicable Diseases was held in Okinawa, Japan, and their experts, businesses and government officials from around the world discussed measures and policies to combat this problem. And we have a report from the forum, so take a look.
The Project Japan. Okinawa, Japan. With its subtropical climate, the prefecture enjoys warm temperatures year-round, drawing tourists not only from Japan, but also across Asia. Recently, it hosted the second Nikkei Asian Conference on Communicable Diseases. This year, the aim was to draw up and implement a more detailed action plan. Serving as conference chair was Shigeru Omi, who has worked in various capacities, including as an official of the World Health Organization.
With so many people from Japan and around the world gathered here this time, we hope to narrow our discussions to two themes: tuberculosis and the Ebola virus. And based on the general statement issued last year, develop a specific strategy that is actionable and has an impact.
The biggest theme of this year's conference was the Ebola virus. There is still no roadmap for eradicating the disease. A report was delivered on the situation in West Africa, where the virus is still spreading.
And the initial syndromes of fever, headache, and weakness, which is very general syndrome, which is very confusing and impossible to distinguish from the major disease, such as malaria, which is endemic in the 3 countries. So this is part of the difficulty we are facing on the ground.
The existing local medical system is poorly equipped, and there's a severe shortage of ambulances. You often see 4 to 5 patients in an ambulance, sometimes as many as 10. Some weren't infected, but ended up contracting the virus.
Are there any measures that can be taken in such situations? Tohoku University professor Hitoshi Yoshitani, who visited the region 3 weeks before the conference, says unless policies are enacted on a worldwide scale, the problem won't be solved.
If only patients are promptly located and their contacts thoroughly traced, and if they can be put in a suitable medical facility, it is an infectious disease that can be stopped in 42 days in any country. As long as there are regions in the world with weak medical systems, we will likely face the same situation again.
Everybody sitting here should think about it. If we don't help them build up their own public health system, the public health problems in West Africa will be our problems. Everybody is sitting here. So we ought to help. Now I think it's time, because you see the decline of this disease. Now it's time to think about the post-Ebola strategy.
To combat this life-threatening disease, there are also moves to develop new drugs. The Japanese-developed influenza drug, Avigan, is attracting attention from the global medical community for its potential effectiveness against Ebola.
Before, Avigan is stop replication here. So that now this is Ebola's clinical trial situation. French National Institute of Health and Medical Research, INSERM so-called, will lead.
What is the potential of Avigan? One of the developers, Professor Kimiyasu Shiraki, explains his view on the drug's effectiveness.
Including influenza, Ebola, so I hope that if this the drug shows efficacy in Ebola, this maybe shows other RNA virus the infections.
The Japanese government also has high hopes for the drug.
This drug is also an asset for Japan. In addition to being able to make an international contribution, we can also demonstrate the capabilities of Japan to the world.
While Ebola fans fear across the world, there are other infectious diseases running rampant closer to home. Nosocomial infections, or infections acquired in hospitals and medical care facilities. The WHO has been carrying out a worldwide project to promote hand washing as one method of prevention. Central to this effort is Professor Didier Pitte of the University of Geneva Faculty of Medicine.
The NICU, Neonatal Intensive Care Unit.
Cambodia is one of the places where the professor has been working to expand the program. In Phnom Penh, a national hospital is starting to take specific steps towards its implementation. The project is backed by a Japanese sanitary goods manufacturer. Throughout the facility are bottles of disinfectant.
This is a test case for a national hospital. They're collecting lots of data on the relationship between hand washing and infection rates.
And at an international conference of ASEAN member countries held in August 2014, Cambodia officially announced its participation in the WHO's hand-washing project. At the Nikkei Asian Conference on Communicable Diseases, Professor Pitte emphasized the importance of washing hands to prevent in-hospital infections.
In the United States only, we are talking about at least 200,000 deaths each year, the equivalent of a 747 airliner crashing every day or a death every 3 minutes. There is no hospital, no country, no healthcare system in the world that can claim to have solved the problem. Well, that's the bad news. The good news is that there is a cure. The cure is hand hygiene. It used to be called hand washing.
At the conference this year, 2 other countries, Laos and Myanmar, also announced they would formally join the hand-washing project, which now includes almost all countries and regions in Asia. Efforts to eradicate infectious diseases are also expanding among Japanese companies.
We have a capacity to produce locally measles vaccine, and the capacity production about 7.5 million doses per year. And this table shows you number of doses increasing by year.
At the conference, an official of a Japanese company providing technical assistance highlighted its vaccine plant in Vietnam and stressed the importance of local production.
It's essential that countries be able to locally manufacture reliable vaccines. That was one of the reasons Vietnam was able to control an outbreak of measles last year. I think it's a very important example.
Close coordination between Japan and other countries in Asia is growing. There's a big reason why Okinawa was chosen as the conference venue. Because of its subtropical climate, the prefecture has a long history of aggressively tackling and eradicating malaria, filariasis, and other infectious diseases. One research facility that has played a central role in these efforts is the University of the Ryukyus. It has a system in place to quickly respond to outbreaks of infectious diseases. Professor Jiro Fujita is a leading researcher in the field in Okinawa.
To truly diagnose an infectious disease, it's necessary to carry out a genetic analysis. That's what we do here at this laboratory. And in just one day, we can find out what a virus is and what kind of microbes there are. By doing so, we can diagnose the patient's condition in detail. Having a laboratory like this and a system to quickly carry out tests is extremely crucial.
The university has also been carrying out international exchanges in the field of infectious diseases research. Visiting Professor Fujita is a researcher from Mahidol University in Thailand. Such cross-border information exchanges are indispensable in combating infectious diseases.
Okinawa, Thailand, and Indonesia all have the same objective. It's not so much joint research with countries in Southeast Asia, but coordination such as mutual encouragement or mutual assistance that I believe is necessary in this field.
Backed by its experience and research in combating infectious diseases, Okinawa is now positioning itself as a hub for the field in Asia. There was another major theme discussed at the conference: tuberculosis, which kills over 1 million people around the world every year.
2/3 of TB is in Asia. So not only do we have a high disease burden in this region, we also should have countries that take leadership in this. Japan's role, I see as, with your background in pharma and biotechnology, a leader in innovation, drug discovery, vaccine discovery, manufacturing. I see you taking basically, together with the governments, working hand in hand.
In the fight against tuberculosis as well, Japan is also expected to play an international role as it has the highest number of tuberculosis patients among industrialized countries. Attracting attention now is a new tuberculosis drug developed for the first time in 40 years in Japan.
A new drug called Delamanid has been developed. It may be effective against multi-drug-resistant tuberculosis.
Discussions were carried out on how to promote tuberculosis drugs and treatment methods developed in Japan around the world.
Pharmaceutical products take at least 15 to 20 years to develop. So, in regard to Delamanid as well, we would like your ideas on how to bring Japanese-developed drugs and treatment methods to people who need them around the world. If such drugs exist, we need to switch our focus from treating people who have symptoms to ensuring that people don't become infected. For that, it's necessary to use entirely different diagnostic drugs.
A new Japanese-developed drug that's raising hope across the world. In this age of globalization, how can it be delivered to people who need it? This issue was discussed during the 2 days of the conference.
We've heard that developing drugs requires significant costs and time. But for example, once a company takes the initial step, if there is a market need or a good prospect, then it can be turned into a national project. I believe that sort of national strategy is necessary.
At the conference, people serving in various capacities at international organizations, governments, pharmaceutical companies, and medical institutions held discussions with the aim of drawing up a detailed action plan. At its conclusion, a statement was issued consolidating the ideas of all participants.
At some point, we need to take advantage of the WHO system.
We need a framework to prevent diseases from becoming more drug-resistant.
It was decided that during the next 1 year, members would set up several joint programs and carry out specific initiatives. A document clarifying the actions to be taken and message from Asia, the Okinawa Communicable Diseases Statement 2015 is completed.
I'd like to thank everyone for working on this wonderful statement.
The conclusion of the statement reads, through fruitful discussions, conference participants agreed that healthcare innovation developed in Japan should be introduced to the international society. Furthermore, they concluded that joint efforts with other Asian countries and our global society are necessary for the fulfillment of the consortium's above stated actions in fighting against communicable disease.
I believe there's a tailwind blowing now in our fight against infectious diseases. Everyone expressed their commitment, and we were able to issue a statement, so I'm very happy.
From Okinawa to Asia, a new chapter has begun in the multinational battle to eradicate infectious diseases.
Let's enjoy Japan.
Wonderful.
I knew you'd like this.
You know me so well. Where to next?
Golf.
Wonderful.
Japanese garden.
That's wonderful too.
Onsen with a Fujisan view.
Wonderful.
Let's go then.
いらっしゃいませ.
Wonderful.
Incredible.
Smiles ahead. Seibu Group.
The World Assembly for Women 2014, held under Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's initiative to create a society in which women shine. An international conference to discuss policies for the empowerment of women.
I am determined to make the 21st century a world with no human rights violations against women. WOW is one step towards making that pledge a reality.
We are glad, as the Prime Minister indicated, that we are going to have a home in Tokyo.
More than 100 panelists from 24 countries and 6 international organizations discussed measures to promote the role of women in society. Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida, who chaired the roundtable, issued a final proposal.
WOW will be held again next year. Now is the time for Japan and the world to take serious action.
World Assembly for Women in Tokyo 2014.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we have a report from TV Tokyo's World Business Satellite. So, Utsura-san, what's the topic this time?
Yes, this time it's businesses that allow you to borrow rather than buy.
Well, there are already a variety of rental or leasing services for cars and other products. So what's different?
Well, the businesses we'll be looking at today allow customers to borrow what you could call personal items such as clothes and accessories as much as they want for a fixed fee.
Well, I've heard that in Europe and the US, a fast-growing trend is to use the internet and social media to create a sharing economy in which groups of people share usage of products.
Yes, you're right. And it seems to be happening in Japan, especially in big cities. We're hearing more frequently about moves such as car sharing or shared houses. And sharing is forecast to expand to 11 trillion yen or $90 billion market globally in the near future. And we have a report on this growing trend. So take a look.
This man works at a major human resources agency. 2 months ago, he says he started using a certain service.
It's a service that lets me borrow neckties, cufflinks, and other business suit-related items as much as I want.
He uses a website called Fresh Neck that mainly rents out neckties for a flat monthly fee. There are 2 packages, one costing 3,800 yen, or about $31, and the other 5,900 yen, with users allowed to pick several neckties to borrow from a selection of 1,000. The brands in their lineup include Chanel and Burberry. Some neckties retail for 50 to 60,000 yen. Until now, he spent an average of 100,000 yen a year on buying neckties. By using the site, he says his expenses have fallen by about 30%.
If I end up not liking a necktie I'm wearing, it doesn't matter because it's borrowed. Considering you can try all kinds of neckties, I personally think 5,900 yen is inexpensive.
This service is being offered by Fresh Neck Japan. Founded in the United States in 2012, they opened shop in Japan last October. They already have about 450 members, including corporate executives and salespeople.
The shift from owning to sharing is a trend that's been happening in the IT, auto, and music industries from several years ago. We believe this is something that will also spread in the apparel industry.
The move away from owning toward sharing is also being seen elsewhere. Itsumi Matsukawa lives in central Tokyo. Hoping to cut back on rent, she moved into this share house a year ago. Right now, she lives here together with 2 others around the same age. In her previous place, Ms. Matsukawa spent about 80,000 yen a month in rent. Now she pays 20,000 yen less. She also says living here has changed her ideas about possessions.
I used to have a lot of things, Every time I saw a sale or bargain, I'd want to buy something. But now, low price or not, I think about if I really need something, if the need is bigger than the want when I make a purchase.
What kind of room does Ms. Matsukawa live in?
This is my room.
Inside, there's no TV or knickknacks. She says all she needs now is only what's necessary. Having no extra possessions, Ms. Matsukawa has turned to a fixed-fee rental accessory service.
Before, I used to buy a lot of accessories that I ended up not using that much. Also, if I'm looking at expensive accessories, I'm not sure if I'll really use them enough to buy.
For 2,480 yen a month, she can borrow necklaces, earrings, and other accessories as many times as she wants. The website is run by this company. They launched a business last December specialized in allowing users to borrow as many accessories as they want.
Longer term, taxes will go up and disposable incomes will gradually fall. So, consumers are changing their behavior and becoming less willing to make unnecessary purchases. We believe that the number of people who buy only what they really need and rent rather than buy will grow in the future.
The business of rental fashion is spreading. There's been another recent development. This is Lishe, a pop-up shop that opened at the end of February. It rents out clothes and other items targeting women in their 30s. It is said to be the first brick-and-mortar store in the fashion rental industry. The cost of this service starts at 500 yen. Users can borrow 1 item a week or 4 items a month. This woman is actually a professional stylist. The shop always has a stylist on hand to advise customers and help them coordinate their clothes. They say this is the advantage of having a physical store.
I think my style has really changed. I like the choices, but they're all things I don't have, so I can dress up and look different from the way I usually do.
On this day, the staff members visit an apparel maker that sells its products online to borrow clothes to rent out at the store.
This caught my eye right away. It's cute.
Choosing the items is stylist Shiori Morooka. She checks not only the design, but the quality of the material as well.
This also has a very nice feel. There are things here that are hard to get across online. We want people to touch them and try them on.
For retailers that only have an online presence, they say there's a big advantage in being able to put products in physical stores where customers can actually see and touch them.
One of our objectives is also to gain wider recognition. We hope to hear the honest opinions of regular consumers and incorporate those views into the development of new products.
The stylist chooses about 25 items. The store will be allowed to borrow them free of charge. Lishe is actually planning to sell the products it rented out at prices lower than the retail market. As it could open up a new sales channel, the online shopping site has agreed to supply the products free of charge.
It's very similar to when magazines come to us to lease our products. But there's also the additional benefit of actual sales. So it's very interesting as a combination.
The company aims to generate 200 million yen from the business. The main revenue sources are monthly fees from members and commissions from sales of products.
We receive a percentage of sales as a commission, and the online retailers keep the rest of the revenue. Right now, we're building a scheme that if you supply clothes to Riche, we will rent them out to a wide range of women customers, and sales will grow.
The business of borrowing may dramatically alter our everyday lives and open a new runway for the fashion industry.
Borrowing high-priced items rather than buying them is definitely an interesting business.
Tomorrow never ends with you. With you. When the morning falls, we there so long.
For life's greatest moments. Bridgestone.
Welcome to Tokyo Skytree. This is the grand panoramic view from 450 meters. Here you'll experience the unforgettable. Look, enjoy, be amazed, and be awestruck. That's what Tokyo Skytree is all about. Japan's latest landmark, Tokyo Skytree.
And what's next?
Yes, next we look at health management that's convenient and easy to do.
Sounds good.
If you can take a look over here, it's a graph showing medical care expenditure in Japan, and as you can see, it's been rising every year and has reached over 39 trillion yen in fiscal 2013.
Well, I know ballooning medical care costs are a major social issue in countries such as Japan, where populations are shrinking and graying. And we are starting to hear more about the importance of personal health management.
That's right, and that's also generating interest in health management systems or services utilizing information technology, and that's driving the development of various services. So take a look.
An event was recently held at Roppongi Hills in Tokyo. The topic was digital health. Gathered were about 200 people from entrepreneurial ventures specializing in IT-based health management services and investment firms.
By using digital technologies such as 3D printers and smartphones, we've been able to reduce the cost of our prosthetic arms to a tenth.
A company that makes low-cost prosthetic arms using 3D printers. And
our company provides support for all aspects of pregnancy to expecting mothers, their partners, and their children.
They use IT to help manage women's physical health and pregnancy schedules. And a service generating big interest.
Our vision is to provide support for once-in-a-lifetime success.
The entrepreneurial venture founded by Yuji Mizoguchi is headquartered in Ginza, Tokyo. Established in 2012, they launched a service in March of last year that's quickly gaining users. Offered through a smartphone application, it's called Diet Tutor. A 60-day program starts at 98,000 yen, or about $820, a substantial fee. Even so, more than 1,000 people are signed up as members now, and monthly user growth is said to exceed 20%.
Right now, we're fortunate to be getting an extremely large number of inquiries. We believe this is the year to prove ourselves.
Membership is growing in spite of the high fee. The secret? Registered nutritionists.
Based on something called a zone balance, to maintain hormonal balance, we advise users to follow a 1-2-3 diet.
Members send pictures of their meals, which are then reviewed by the nutritionists. Their main advice is balance of 1 part rice, 2 parts meat and fish, and 3 parts vegetables. To effectively lose weight, members first undergo a genetic checkup. The nutritionists use that information to provide advice based on a person's physical condition. Kentaro Hashimoto has been using Fink for 2 months. He's a systems engineer involved in designing smartphone applications. On this day, his lunch is a miso-stewed mackerel meal purchased at a convenience store. He takes pictures of it and uploads it over the application.
I found out that I have a lot of fat and can easily gain weight. So, I try not to eat too many greasy foods.
For salad, he doesn't use any dressing. To reduce intake of sugar, he eats only half a rice ball. "10 minutes after uploading his picture, he receives an assessment of his meal. He's commended for choosing a salad with 10 types of vegetables and not using any dressing. But
Mr. Hashimoto, your body is of the type that has difficulty regulating temperature. So if you add a soup-type dish, you will be able to promote internal heat generation.
the lack of warm foods leaves him with a score of 4 out of 5.
My life could be shortened, or I could get sick. When I think about my family, I feel health is important.
So last November, he became a member of Diet Tutor. Combined with exercise twice a week, he says the program has helped him successfully lose 11 kilos in 2 months without feeling any physical strain.
If I think about my health and my life from now on, a price of 100,000 yen isn't that expensive.
Expecting greater demand, Fink is planning to start a corporate service this spring. Another IT-based health service allows users to accumulate points just by walking. This is the family of Yoko Maegawa, who works at NTT Data. On weekends, they walk to a park about 1 kilometer from their home. They arrive in about 10 minutes. Then,
6,660 steps.
on her smartphone is a pedometer application.
The number of steps I take is converted into points, which I can use to exchange for various items.
Users receive 5 miles if they walk 5,000 steps a day, or 10 miles for 10,000 steps. The miles collected can be exchanged for products. For example, a pack of noodles for 1,000 miles. This vacuum cleaner is 4,900 miles.
I have 2 boys, and they're really active, so I'm chasing them all the time.
Even while playing with her children, Ms. Maegawa collects points. This service was developed by NTT Data. Ms. Maegawa is actually a member of the team that developed the system. NTT Data provides health management systems that serve 450,000 people across 15 organizations, including health insurance associations set up by corporations. The point service using pedometers has been built into those systems. The idea is to encourage healthy activities among users, thereby reducing medical expenditure. NTT Data is aiming to expand its customer base on the back of this service. And in December of last year, they announced a tie-up with rewards card provider Ponta. Points accumulated by walking can be exchanged for products and services offered by 80 companies and 23,000 stores nationwide. The utility of the service has dramatically increased.
Until now, our service was linked more with purchases. We hope to expand our offerings to the healthcare field and meet the needs of our members.
Utilizing IT to reduce medical care costs. Greater awareness among businesses is expected to further grow this market.
So more ways for us to better manage our own health. And let's hope that leads to lower medical care costs for everyone. And after the break, we have a new episode of Takumi.
Man, look at all these cars.
Hey, have you heard, by the way, the Japanese company Kobelco is working to make the world's cars lighter.
So what does that mean?
Kobelco is using aluminum and steel technologies to make car parts and bodies lighter around the world.
Ah, Japanese technology. The country of karate. Ha! Ha! Ha!
Why do we always do that?
I don't know.
The talk of the world. Kobelco.
We do our jobs with sincerity and integrity to make a better living environment for the people and our society. Today's work, tomorrow's heritage. Shimizu Corporation.
Omron is a company like no other. It defines expectations because engineers are constantly working on something new. Machines that are attuned to the way people think and move. Therein lies technology that will one day help the future. We automate. Omron.
Channel Japan. Your source for the voices and views of people and businesses across Japan. The latest reports on Japanese companies, culture, and technology. Find out what's happening on the ground. Every week, direct from Tokyo, Channel Japan.
You're watching Channel Japan. Next, we bring you a segment called Takumi from Science View, a program produced by NHK that introduces the latest developments in science and technology in Japan.
Yes, now Takumi literally means artisan in Japanese, and it's a word often used to describe a person with exceptional skill in a certain craft, a master technician.
So, what kind of Takumi are we going to meet today?
Yes, first let me ask you, are you familiar with the legend of the feathered robe?
Of course, it's a classic Japanese children's tale. And although the specifics differ from region to region, it's about a celestial maiden who comes down from heaven wearing a beautiful feathered robe and falls in love with a man.
That's the one. And in the story it said that the feathered robe allows the celestial maiden to fly. Now Takumi this time is a company that makes a fabric that, although won't allow you to fly, is extremely light. So take a look.
In the Japanese legend, the feather robe of the celestial maiden. A heavenly maiden wears a filmy light robe made from bird's feathers and flies gracefully through the sky.
Hi, I'm Michelle. How do I look? I've transformed myself into a celestial maiden. Today I'm going to meet Takumi in Fukushima, an area hard hit by the Great East Japan earthquake. He makes silk fabrics that rival the ones in the Heavenly Maiden's legend. Let's go and see.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having us today.
It's my pleasure.
Today's Takumi, or innovator, is Yasuyuki Saito, second-generation president of a 60-year-old silk manufacturing business. Wait, what is this Saito is about to unveil? Could it be? Wow, it's so light! The exquisite material floating in the breeze is the silk fabric Saito developed, said to be one of the most sheer silks in the world. The almost transparent fabric changes color according to the light. It really is fit for a celestial maiden's robe. We went straight in to see how it is made. This is the loom that produces the ultra sheer fabric. The warp and weft threads are woven exactly as ordinary silk would be. The difference lies in the thickness of the thread. This is it. It's invisible even when drawn out right before your eyes. Only 1/6 the width of a human hair, it is far thinner than the thread commonly used in thin silk manufacture. The key to achieving an ultra-fine fabric lay in an ultra-fine thread. But weaving the special thread was no easy task. The biggest challenge was that it would break all too easily. The weight used to keep the warp thread under tension was the problem. The amount of tension the weight applied to each thread varied, but even a fraction of a difference is too much for ultrafine thread. For 120 centimeter wide fabric, 14,000 warp is used. How could the tension on the warp thread be kept uniform? Saito noticed the loom's drop pins. A drop pin is a metal pin set on each warp thread to help detect broken threads. When a thread breaks, the pin drops like this, and a sensor is activated to stop the loom. Saito thought that if he also used the pin as a weight, it could maintain an even tension on all threads. After exhaustive testing, he found the ideal pin weight, 2 grams. After 4 intense years, he had succeeded in creating what is now considered to be one of the sheerest silk fabrics in the world. Saito had an incentive to create his new fabric. Kawamata in Fukushima Prefecture had long been renowned for its sheer silk fabric manufacture. But the competition from cheaper overseas products had caused a rush of factory closures. Saito was moved by a strong desire to revive his hometown. Thread making, dyeing, and loom improvements, many of his artisan friends gave him a hand. Saito felt the importance of such human bonds all the more when the Great East Japan earthquake hit in March 2011.
Others working in the silk business brought gasoline and food all the way from Gunma Prefecture for us. I was really grateful. I had told them that they didn't have to come at a time like this when highways were closed off, but they still made the effort despite the time it must have taken. A human sensibility really is important in making products. Your feelings for others show in what you make. It's the same everywhere in the world. Without common humanity, it won't work. You have to care about others.
Threads that are a sixth the thickness of a strand of hair. It's amazing.
Yes.
And the technology to make them was also impressive. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Channel Japan. We have much more in store for you, so join us again next week.